Waukesha Board of Education to order. Stacy, verification of the meeting. It's been properly posted.
Yes, it has.
Thank you. Next up is opportunity for citizens to speak. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the committee? No. Moving on to approval of minutes. I'm looking for a motion of approval for the June 7th, 2016 committee meeting.
Approval. I'll second.
Ready? It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Changes, issues, concerns, alterations? No? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? So that would be 4-0 for approval. Moving on, next on the agenda is our bright lights. Haven't had one of these for a couple meetings, so I'm looking forward to our 2016 summer school update. Ladies, welcome. I would like to, before we start, notify the public that's watching of Jody Landis sitting in her seat as the new CNI director. Welcome. Glad to have you aboard. You've been fantastic with the district, and we look to more great stuff from you, Jody. All righty. Moving on.
I'm Amy Riebel. Is it on? Can we try this? Is that any better? A little bit?
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right. I'm Amy Riebel. I am the summer school development and data communication liaison. I started in this role July 1st, which means I missed all of the hard part of summer school, all of the planning and organization and hiring, and I got to do the fun part, which was visit sites every day and support principals and get to visit classrooms and see all the great things that the kids were doing. And I'm pleased to say that I saw a lot of happy kids during summer school. So even though school has been out for a while, we have had a lot of kids engaged in learning. So I brought with me Carly Solberg, who was one of our summer school principals. She's a veteran principal for us and was at the Randall campus site. And so we wanted to share just some brief highlights about some of the great learning things that took place this year. So we had a number of summer school locations, and I've listed those for you on the slide. Those were the district kind of official summer school sites, and then we also had some additional programs that took place at the middle schools and high schools. Each of those schools did some pieces of their own. There was some band enrichment and athletic conditioning that happened at each high school, and some of those things. But the sites at the top were schools that really were district-wide summer school sites this year. So we had 19 days of official summer school, June 27th through July 22nd, as well as some ongoing things. Again, strength and conditioning is continuing. Band enrichment is happening, and STEM Saratoga has things happening at their site all throughout the summer. And next week, we have 6th grade band camp happening. So even though our official summer school days are over, there are still things happening as we approach the new school year. We had a large number of students. Let's try that again. Involved in our summer this year. Yeah. You can see at the bottom there, we had a total of 3,471 enrollments in all of our program, or total enrollments in our different programs, 1,390 at elementary, just about 550 at middle school, and 1,382 at high school. And again, that includes that band and strength and conditioning classes, which are very popular. Band camp is coming up with 130 students, and we had 20 students who participated in an environmental education camp activity at the E.B. Schertz building in early June. So lots of great things happening. We had a variety of classes that were offered. There were opportunities for math and reading readiness. Students at the high school level who maybe needed to recover a credit that they missed during the regular school year. We had enrichment activities for our students enrolled in the dual language program. One of the great things I saw at the high school level was at South we had an open art studio, so students could drop in and work on their art projects. And while we didn't take official enrollment at that program or keep attendance because it was just a drop-in, every time I was there, there were students in there. So that was great to see. Garden cooking and kitchen science. I just highlighted a few of our enrichment classes that were particularly popular, and actually enrollment closed on some of these pretty early. I enjoyed going to the sites where we had cooking classes because the minute I walked in, I could smell what was happening, and made sure I visited those rooms. Nobody ever shared their food with me. Those kids were pretty keeping that to themselves once they did all the hard work of cooking. But surviving the outdoors was another highlight. At the middle school level, I walked in one day, and you'll see a clip of this in our video, but the students had to develop a shelter that would withstand a tornado. And that tornado was a leaf blower that the students told me was coming in the next week. And so they were really focused on their structures to make sure that they were going to withstand. The one in the video you'll see doesn't do so well, but they definitely tried. Digital photography and coding, so there was lots of use of iPads taking place, and the students in Around the World in 19 Days gave me a double thumbs up the day I was in there, just with all the random facts that they were learning, so it was fun to see. So we really continue to focus on the important curriculum elements and instructional practices that we see during the regular school year in summer school. And so we highlighted just a few of those that were particularly visible during summer school. At the high school level, one of the things that was new this year, and this was something that Jody worked on in her role as Director of Secondary Education with our high school staff and high school principal, was to really allow students to work on those focused learning targets that they needed to complete the class. So anything that they hadn't shown proficiency on before, now they didn't have to sit through the entire class, but really focus on those things that they still needed to master. And so for some students, once they completed that, they were able to end their summer school time. So a little extra motivation there to really focus on those things that they needed to do. So I think we'll continue to look at that as we move forward in future years, but that was a new piece this year. So again, students, that leads into the next one, students really determining the pace of their program and what they needed to do. We had a lot of students working on individual modules in certain courses and being able to work at their pace and then get lots of feedback from their teacher. And the teachers were working in much more of a consultant or guide role rather than the whole group instruction for some of those courses. And then learner voice was something that was included in a couple of different classes, and Carly's going to share one example that was a highlight for me in getting to see what students were doing this summer, and so I'll have her kind of share those highlights. Before our video here, we have a couple of pictures of things taking place. Our flight class there in the middle, building their hot air balloons, and off to the left there we have our kitchen science class doing some outdoor cooking, and it's a little difficult to see, but they are trying to cook s'mores there with a solar cooker there that they've created. So, Carly, do you want to share a little bit about what happened at Randall this year, and particularly your community helpers class? That was particularly fun.
Yeah. So at the STEM Academy Randall campus, learners focused on two larger overarching essential questions. The first one being, how can perseverance help us solve problems? And the second one was, how can collaboration impact the world? And so learners had a chance throughout the whole summer to construct their understanding around these two different questions through a variety of contexts, including creative cooking, and I did get a lot of samples, so that was really, it was really nice, yeah. And they were really good. Exploring science through experiments, robotics, coding, Project Runway, which is based on the TV show, I don't know if you've seen it, and then finally community helpers, to name a few. In community helpers, learners really thought about those essential questions, and then their next step was to research different community helpers in their local community in Waukesha. After that, they started to think about how they could have an impact on the community in Waukesha, and so they came up with a variety of different ideas, but the one that they landed on in the end was to have a lemonade stand. And so they wrote this note to me to get permission to have this lemonade stand. They did all the advertising, they decided how much lemonade they needed, they stirred up the lemonade, and they had their sale. And they ended up making over $120 in a matter of, I think, 2 hours, an hour before school and an hour after, maybe not even a half hour before, a half hour after, which was fantastic. And so then their next step was to decide where they would donate that money to. And so they donated it to the Waukesha Food Pantry, and it was really neat because the representative from the food pantry came out to accept the donation from the learners there, and you could just tell that they were so proud of their accomplishment. So that was great to see. One other opportunity that learners had to share their growth throughout the summer with family members and friends was at the showcase. There were quite a few classes that opted to showcase their learning at the end of summer, and so learners were again able to share with family and friends.
Wanted to have some students join us, and students who were so busy in summer school are now on vacation or involved in other activities. So we tried to do the next best thing and put together a short video for you of just some of the things that were happening at some of our summer school sites. So let's try here.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination.
We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation.
What we'll see will defy explanation.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination.
Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free. Wish to be.
The end there, you could see a performance taking place. The stage class at Horning did 2 productions on the final day, Hansel and Gretel and Little Red Riding Hood, and invited not only their families, but students who were attending summer school at Banting. So they had 380 participants in their audience at the for that production. So another way to showcase their learning. So as you can see, we had a lot of kids not only working on those academic skills over the summer, but also getting to explore new areas of interest or potential areas of interest, as well as areas of passion. So a lot of fun to get to see all that learning.
Excellent presentation. Any questions or comments?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes, excellent presentation is correct. I guess what really encouraged me about what you showed us here today, there was a point in time a few years back where summer school meant you screwed up during the year and you got to go get your course finished or whatever it is. But you have shown how we can use summer school to open up all kinds of avenues for people, for the kids, I mean, in terms of getting into things they would never have considered, whether it's cooking or building little shelters or whatever it is. You've opened some doors, and I think there's an awful lot of creativity in what I saw here in terms of the programs you put together for the kids, and it really makes summer school a positive rather than a negative, and I think that's important that we know that and that the community know that, and I appreciate that, so good job.
And a fabulous team of principals, and Sarah here at the district office, Sarah Olcholsky, did a fabulous job with enrollment and all of the details to make it successful. So, thank you.
Yes, Karen. I can hear you.
Summer school was provided for students at no cost this year, so there was no enrollment fee for them. And that is offset with district funds or state funding based on enrollment. So. Yeah, I think the only time a fee would be charged is if there were participating in a field trip. So. I should clarify, if they're a resident student. So we did offer the opportunity for students from other districts to enroll, and there was a tuition fee for that, so if they chose to do that.
Excellent. Anything else? Greg, anything?
Did you have some participation from other districts?
Yes, I believe so. I can look up that number for you as far as
It might be
what
interesting
percentage.
sometime.
Yeah,
You don't have
absolutely. No,
to, email it or whatever.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that's,
definitely.
we're always talking about many things that we do so well in this district and getting other districts to, join us and see how good we do stuff, how well we do stuff.
We did have a number of students, and again, I'd have to look up that exact number, who are Waukesha residents, but who perhaps attend a non-district school. So we did have, and I know we had some of that at Randall, so.
Bring them back.
We're working on it, one little bit at a time. So.
Great, nothing else? Fantastic presentation, ladies. It's good to see the good stuff that we do. Thank you very much. The next item up is the presentation items, which there are none. So we'll be moving right into our action items. Our first action item is the annual approval of School District of Waukesha Student Academic Standards. And that will be, it's prepared by a lot of, here they come.
Elephant pants.
Welcome.
Welcome. How
Good
are you?
evening. Good, how are you
guys
doing?
hear? Can't hear myself. Okay. Tonight we are here as we are annually to inform you of our written notice to families regarding our standards in the school district of Waukesha, as required by state legislation section 201.12. As you know, our standards are aligned to the college and career readiness benchmarks that are universally accepted as preparatory for college, career, and community endeavors into the future, and that we have taken those standards to interpret them locally here for our students in the school district of Waukesha.
You may remember last year about, well, at the August meeting, the same thing was brought forward for the first time. So this is becoming an annual notice. And then after this meeting, a note very similar to last year's will be posted up on the front page of our website in both English and Spanish. And then that'll just kind of be like the running notice for standards. Right, you're asking that you approve.
So this, I just want to get clarification. This is something we will do annually, and this is the notification that's attached here?
Yes, yeah, it'll be the same as,
Year
the
after
same
year.
notification as last year's. We'll
Okay.
change the date as far as the date it's posted, but otherwise it'll remain the same.
Excellent. Then I will move for approval of the School District of Waukesha Student Academic Standards.
Second. Excellent. Any discussion, any further discussion? Any questions, concerns? Mrs. Ranchuk?
Just speak up a little bit.
Parents don't either, that, oh, it's on, thank you. That they are, the standards are set higher above the Common Core state standards, so.
So just to help, you repeat, your question was, last year we talked about using things that go above and beyond just the Common Core standards to raise the level of expectations for our students. That's accurate. We use them as a framework. We use next generation standards, ISLIC standards, a variety of pieces to frame out the overall learning for the student. But your comment was accurate.
I think some of the universal benchmarks that we try to set for our students is obviously their achievement on college and career readiness benchmarks that will allow them the greatest opportunity to enter college and career through achievement on assessments that are important for them in that endeavor, like ACT and SAT, et cetera.
All right, good question. Anything else? Nope, have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's 4-0 in favor. Our next action item is the approval of 2016-17 overnight trip requests. I'm assuming we'll have more than this in the future, because there's no way that this can be our 16-17, unless they're getting tough.
Just wait till October, November.
Right, exactly. That's when we get the binder.
So I just want to make a note on that if I could,
Okay.
Pat. We are in the process of doing a little bit of policy revision, as most board members know. And so part of our process is going to be a policy recommendation that brings forth language that this committee will continue to look at overnight trips on a monthly basis as they come up, rather than getting the big binder that you all got in 1 month to try to look at 1 million overnight trips. And we know that they would even come in after that time that binder is prepared. So our office will continue to keep the running spreadsheet and binder, if you will, but we're asking the board members to approve them as they come in. So we'll continue to bring those to your attention in that way.
Great idea. Yes, Bill?
The current arrangement, though, does speak of a deadline. I think it's November. I'm not sure about that. We're going to drop that, are we?
We're going to look at changing that language around that drop deadline so that it can be a fluid process.
Okay, but we have to have a significant amount of time before an event is to take place.
Correct.
So you're going to give us, okay.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
So we're asking just for the
For
three.
these three?
Yeah.
Okay.
correct.
I'm looking for a motion for approval, and then we can discuss when I get a
I
motion.
will move for approval of the 3 overnight field trips that were presented to us in the packet.
Thank you, Mr. Baumgart. Is there a second? Mr. Dietz seconds. All righty. Discussion. Any discussion on these 3 field trips? Go to cheerleading, 2 cheerleading, and a quest. Questions?
Well, I'll just make a comment for those people that are eagerly watching and wondering about this, that we are dealing here with local travel, so it's not out of the country or out of, even out of the state, as far as I can remember here. And I don't think we're losing any school days. I lost my place here just a minute. Oh, there are some in,
Cheerleading camps will
yeah.
not be losing any, but.
yeah, the other one is a couple. But it's also academically
Yes.
appropriate, so these are pretty straightforward.
I didn't see anything odd about them, or out of the ordinary. Ready? Yes, Mrs. Ranchuk.
Yes, and when you consider they're out of school, but they're still learning at all the things that they're doing, you know, it's just like outside school those days. So,
Definitely.
and they are getting quite a deal on those owl pellets.
Great to see you. Alrighty. Well, let's go to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. 4-0 for approval. That will be the end of our action items. We're moving on now to information items, which we have two. The first information item is Curriculum Council Update. Could have stayed.
Good evening, good to see you.
Good evening. Welcome back.
Thanks. So our first curriculum council meeting ended about less than an hour ago. And Karen, thank you for attending. Sort of was the launch, and I think one of the most important pieces is that we are trying to grow our parent connections and our parent outreach and building some parent capacity. This evening, though, I would like just to update you that we had 4 parents, and we know that we need to expand that, but looking at this as sort of the launch of something that will hopefully become a part of our system. And just to recognize Anna Pludman, Elizabeth Vargas, Rafaela Albater, and Michelle Creasy, representing Banting, Blair, South Banting, and Waukesha North High Schools respectively. And so we'd like to grow that probably about 2 or 3 times that amount, just to have a little bit more of a parent. Again, kind of just set some norms tonight about how we engage in conversations. We had some fun. We had fun. And we also kind of started to generate some topics of interest from the group. And just to give you a quick touch point, things like continuums, which we talked about, dual language. Imagine that grading and reporting was listed as something. Curricular processes, like, you know, how do we get to X or Y or Z? And then actually computer science showed up on a number of things in different handwriting, so it wasn't the same person that wrote it down on multiple ones. But again, just sort of the launch of it. Very thankful we had teachers attend voluntarily. We had coordinators and coaches, principals, and directors. So it was a very nice launch, but obviously there's a lot of good opportunity for growth there.
All I want to say is that it provides an opportunity to grow the knowledge of our parent community in that tonight at least it was representative of a variety of different parents at a variety of different grade levels. We know we have work to do to grab a wider net of our stakeholders, and we're really hoping to use this advisory to provide us with input on how we can better serve their kids.
One of our questions to start was what's one of the best things about Waukesha? Just, you know, our parents, I think, I'm summarizing, they said our teachers and the opportunities for our kids. So I think things we try to celebrate, but it's just reaffirming that we've got excellent teachers and great opportunities for our kids. Rajak, would you like anything you want to add?
I just thought of when you said that there were 4 parents there, many of those teachers were also parents of children in the district. So yes, if you want to just say parents only, there were 4, but yeah, and I was asking Jody how you got them there, and many of the principals had asked their advisory parents if they wanted to reach out. So I thought it was great, and you actually covered more than I thought you would. So, and that was just the first night, so that's great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Baumgart.
I think you should be proud of what you started here. And remember, it's August, and it's a little bit hard to get people to come to meetings in August. But once the school year starts, I think you will have more access to more parents. And you know, if we get a couple of them interested in it, they might get a couple more people interested. And this should be a good thing, so.
We asked them to bring a friend next time.
How are you advertising it or getting the message out there that these are happening?
Initially through buildings,
Okay,
through building principals, because they have the most intimate and direct access to their communities. so.
okay.
And I will say also, through the dual language, here made some
Right, there you go.
specific calls to some people to recruit some family members to make sure we have, or at least we're growing towards the whole cross-section of our community.
Right. Are you gonna have a page on the website? Does anyone mention that to you? We got a new website coming out. Just a little plug.
We're actually gonna say, or thinking about having a page on the website.
Excellent.
Oh, you know, dummy.
I know who to call about that. Okay, excellent. Alrighty, any other questions?
Oh, great.
And your next one is when?
Number 6.
At 4:30?
Yep.
Excellent, fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work. All right, our next information item is Sale Banting Elementary update. Welcome.
Setting up here, okay. So, good evening, glad to be
Evening
here.
to you.
I'm Sarah Berendt, and I'm here just to give you some background relative to the SALE process, or the school improvement processes that we've put into place in the district. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history, and Mary's going to give you, Mary Garcia Velez, principal at Banting, is going to give you boots on the ground with what's happening now at her building. So, we began the SALE process. SALE stands for School Administrator Institute for Transformational Leadership. This is going to sound like this all night, I guess. This is offered at the state level, and we happen to be fortunate in the school district of Waukesha that we have Jody Landish, who's one of the facilitators through our professional organization, as Ryan Crone was as well. So we're really, we were in the beginning stages with the SALE process. And so that takes us back to 2013-14 when we started it in a very small way and grew a little bit bigger in the 14-15 school year when, as a district team, we engaged in the SALE process. And so what we did is identify a problem, and the problem that we identified at that time had to do with literacy and had to do with math and teaching practices. And so we took a look at what potentially the causes of the problem were, and then came up with a theory of action. And within a theory of action, you really get 2 steps as to how to get to solving that problem. And so again, that 14-15 school year was heavy on literacy and math, as was this last school year. The district leadership team really provided some support to the schools by providing them benchmark attainment kind of benchmarks that they needed to meet in order to keep going with that school improvement process. And so as we proceeded through this school year, the end of the school year and into the summer, June, the week of June 20th was really an amazing week in our school district. As a leadership team, Joe and Jody and then the district directors went to another SALE training. And at this time, we looked at how are we going to bring the school improvement process to scale in our buildings? How are we going to bring this same process to the schools? And so we devised our theory of action around that problem or that notion and came up with this theory of action that, I can't say, apologize. This theory of action that talks about the SALE frameworks and how we bring this to life in the buildings by building the leadership capacity. And I don't know.
There you go.
Okay, great. Okay.
Connectivity issue.
So Our theory of action, if you look at the top gray box, has to do with understanding our schools understanding our leadership team understanding the sale process. If we're working collaboratively in our schools and we're really deploying that information and that skill to our administrators in our schools, then sites are going to have the ability or the capacity to really help maximize student achievement. The if and then statements in between those two larger statements are really, this is not our complete theory of action, I just winnowed out some of them. That really gets to how are we going to meet this goal, or how are we going to get there? And so based on this theory of action, we devise a 100-day plan that really lays out those steps to get us there. So that's what we did as a district leadership team for 3 days away from the district. Then we came back to the district on June 23rd and 24th and brought that same process back to all of our schools. And so the schools then really picked up the work that was specific to improving student achievement. So Mary's going to talk to you about how this is coming to life now. How does this bigger district picture come to life in the school?
So I was lucky enough to be part of the district team, and so even as I brought it back to my school initially, I was looking at that SAIL framework and how I could put some of those pieces into place prior to this year, which really helped. What I have found extremely helpful in setting up this framework at the school level is it's not just me. It is a team of leaders that is working together and saying, okay, let's identify the problem that we have here. What's the root cause of that problem? Let's put a theory of action together. So as we together move forward for this school year, it's moving together with a group of leaders, sharing it with the rest of the team, which makes it a lot easier. So a lot more palatable, I think. So our theory of action, it will be up on the screen shortly, but you also have it in your packet, and it's if our instructional team receives professional development and is knowledgeable about implementing intentional, differentiated teaching practices that lead to ongoing and continued progress in literacy and math, then students will demonstrate ongoing improvement in the areas of literacy and math. There's a number of different steps that need to take place in order for that to happen. Those are the if-then statements. And it's not just that we say that this is happening, but throughout the year in our 100-day plan, we're monitoring that these things are happening. We're giving feedback to see these things are happening. We're looking at student data and then adjusting as necessary. So this framework is just a great way for us to put this into action to say, how are we doing at Banting? What do we need to look at? How do we need to improve and move forward? And being very, very intentional about the steps in doing that. As we go on to the last slide that we have, initiation, this all has to do with practices, practices that we put into place. Where are we, what practices are we at the initiation stage? What practices are we at the implementation stage? And what is institutionalized? Initiation, obviously, we're just starting that practice. Implementation, we have it going and it's moving forward quite well. And institutionalization really is the way we do business. So if I look at the practices that we've had at Banting, we implemented 3 years ago thoughtful logs. Right now, that's the way we do business. Everybody in our building knows that we are going to have a thoughtful log in math and you're going to have a problem-solving log in reading. With Language Workshop, it's something that we really started implementing last year to improve students' achievement. We are moving forward with that and still giving feedback on that. It's at the implementation stage. I would say hopefully this next year that will become institutionalized or really the way that we do business. Again, monitoring all along the way, having teachers send in their plans, giving feedback to teachers so that they're understanding and we're observing what they're doing to make sure students are moving forward appropriately. And now we're picking up something else. This all has to do with the comprehensive literacy model, which we're moving forward with in literacy. Now we're going to move on to small group instruction. We've got those first two things going pretty well. Now we're going to start at the initiation stage with the next component of the comprehensive literacy model. So really, as you see that, well, now it went away, but anyways, it's a cycle. You are initiating something, you're bringing it to implementation stage, it becomes the way of business, and then you start pulling up something else that, again, can move your students forward. The key is making sure that there's monitoring and looking at data all the way along the way to see that students are moving forward. The framework has really helped to do that on a school-to-school basis, starting from the district and then moving to the school level.
Mary, included in there is math discourse. Could you describe that for me, please?
I could. So what we want students to do with discourse, we don't want it to be, you sit there quiet and then raise your hand and I'll pick on you. We want discourse to have a student to be explain a problem and another student say, I have something to add on to what they are saying, and then add on, or I agree with what they said, but the way I solved my problem was this way. So it's not teacher, student, it's teacher says this, and then the students go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So discourse is really students taking more ownership and more discussion. And our kids this last year really learned from every age. And we had certain starters like I agree with, I disagree with, or I can add on. That was maybe at the kindergarten level. Those were up on the wall. To upper level to say, I agree with part of what she said, but this is my opinion on that in the upper grades. It was great to be able to see that develop from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade.
It seems that provokes a lot more thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, no, that's not right, let me tell you, it's, tell me what you're thinking as far as that goes. Could you explain that a little bit more? It puts more of the onus on the students and keeps
Excellent.
them more engaged as well.
Thank you.
So really from this, we hope that you take an understanding of the fact that there is a process in place for school improvement planning. There's a process that's been established so that it will continue, so that really this does become institutionalized in our school, and it does become a way of how we do business in terms of moving student achievement forward.
Question? Of course. Mr. Baumgart.
Sarah, how far is this disseminated across all of our schools? I mean,
Had 200-plus teacher leaders and administrators at West High School on the 23rd and 24th. So each of those school teams brought at least 4 members, and up to, there were some 12 team members.
Okay.
Those teams now are the SAIL teams. Mary described her SAIL
Okay.
team, that in the work that they're doing at Banting. Every school has a SAIL team just like that, that is functioning in the same way that her team is functioning at Banting. Only those schools have taken a look at their individual school data, have taken a look at subgroup data, just have really gotten intimate with what it is that their school needs. And then that school SAIL team has built exactly the same sorts of things that Banting has done, and are taking that. And we're going to have a launch on August, I don't know, one of the first days of school. Each of the schools have a morning to launch, and their school SAIL team the principals, I don't imagine, are going to be doing that work. They're going to be doing that work alongside of their teams, but really those teacher leader teams are in charge. All of the directors from the teaching and learning team, as well as the student services team, there are 8 of us, and so we have divided the 24 schools among the 8 directors, and each of us have 3 teams that we are most intimately involved with in terms of the coaching. So, for example, I'm coaching North, Banting, and Hawthorne are my 3 schools, and so I'm working closely with them. So that you know, it started kind of big up here, and now this whole purpose has been to narrow it down, winnow it down, and really get it into the schools. So it's a process of really looking at student achievement, teacher practices, and how the two of them are marrying to get the most from it.
Seems the way you're breaking it down, each school will be identifying the issues and problems that they must deal with, but if you look at those individually, you'll also be able to see whether we have some commonality across the district into what we have to be focusing on, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of our systems that we have in place are quarterly checks. We've done that over the course, since we've brought the SAIL process to Waukesha. But those quarterly checks now aren't just an individual school coming and giving their story or telling their report. They're open, they're collaborative. We share, we have a great big matrix, an elementary matrix and a secondary matrix, where resources are shared that are accessible to all of the leaders in the building. So it's really become a transparent process that, is helping, I think, helping leadership grow and in turn will help student achievement.
Thank you.
Mr. Anchek?
Thank you. When I attended the session at Waukesha West, I couldn't wait to get home with my little packet and just talk about it with my husband because he's a manager and you can use that in any setting. And I wanted to say, hey, are you doing this? And if not, this is really a good idea. And then I just wanted to tell you, Mary, I talked to 2 of your teachers, and I won't tell you who. I asked how is it going at Banting, and it didn't have anything to do with sale, but how is it going? You know, how was your year? And the first thing they said was, I love my principal.
I love my school, so.
So it's not, and if you were doing this the whole year and I didn't know, you know, it didn't seem heavy-handed, top-down, you know, that would have been reflective of what they said. And obviously it's a team-building thing, and so thank you for building that, because if our teachers are happy, our kids are happy, and that starts with you, so thank you.
Excellent. Mr. Dietz?
First of all, I just want to thank you for the central office staff for leading by example. I think it's refreshing to see leadership from central office and skin in the game at the building level. So thank you for doing that. I think that's crucial to student success and building success as well. I was also fortunate enough to attend those sessions with the 200 leaders at West High School, and I saw just tons of enthusiasm and interest and ownership because it was site-driven instead of top-down, which is where we all know real action and things happen. So I did just have one question. Sarah, what happens after the 100 days? It's 100 school days, I assume?
Well, actually,
Or is it
no.
a school year? Or,
Some of the 100-day plans began August 24th.
okay,
Or excuse me, June 24th.
June 24th, okay.
And so that really defines what those next 100-day would look like. Along the way, there are checkpoints. You know, Mary talked about the monitoring that's critical to ensuring that you take pause, what's working, what's not working, continue with what is working, take pause and readjust, and you know, it's that plan, do, study, act process that we go through. And then at the end, there are celebrations that are built in through the process, and then you build another 100 days. So the cycle just continues. And we'll have these moments, I would anticipate we'll have moments like this in the summer, kind of collectively, because there really was some amazing energy in that building that was happening on the 23rd and 24th. It was.
Any other comments? Okay. Well, great presentation and fantastic work by all, as usual. Thank you very much. Really, that is our last information item. We have no discussion items on the agenda and no other business. Our next CNI meeting will be on Tuesday, September 6th at 6 p.m. in this room. And meeting will be adjourned. Thank you.